Thanks for joining us here on Speaking of Horses. Today we're going to take you on a visit to some of the wonderful people and horses we met at the Horse Expo Pomona in Pomona, California, the very 1st of February 2016. Thanks for joining us. Right now, let's go out to Pomona and... Hey, welcome to Speaking of Horses. Wayne Williams here. We are in Pomona, California. We are at Horse Expo Pomona, and we're having a ball. And right now, my guest is Red Bucket Equine Rescue. And they are an equine rescue, obviously, located in Chino Hills, California, right here in the LA Basin area. Anne Marie is my guest. So, Anne, first, tell us a little bit about the Red Bucket Rescue, how you were formed and what your missions are.
We were formed in 2009. Susan Pierce, our president and founder, rescued our first horse. She found a young filly that had been abandoned, and she spent hours rescuing her. She was having a hard time catching her, so she went out and bought a red bucket and a bag of carrots, and she ended up, after many hours, being able to get a hold of her and halter her, and they took her and rescued her, and her name is Harlow. She was our first rescue. After that, we ended up rescuing other horses, a whole group from a children's camp in Malibu were some of our first rescues, and then that year we also rescued a large group of thoroughbreds that had come out of a breeding scandal. We rescued 42 thoroughbreds that had been abandoned after being bred. And so that first year there were over 70 rescues. And a few years ago we left Huntington Beach, where the rescue initially was founded, and we bought a ranch in Chino Hills. It's the ranch that the horses own.
Now, let me ask you a question. I mean, everybody, you know, is very thankful for horse rescues, equine rescues, whether it's horse, donkey, mule, it's an equine rescue, and they're all thankful for it. They all see the need for it, and we all want to help the horses that need help. I don't know very few people that don't. The people that have horses or donkeys or mules are a breed of people that are very caring in most cases, you know, and what they're into with the equines tells you a lot about the person's makeup. But I know there's some misconceptions, so what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about a rescue, about what you're really trying to do? About, do I just drive by and dump one off in the front yard, or, you know, do you come out and just take them? Or, I know there's misconceptions. So what's the greatest misconceptions you see?
I think a lot of people think that the funds are somewhat unlimited, that we have a lot of funds. It's very difficult raising funds for rescues, and that we can take unlimited a number of horses. We have to be very careful that we can support the horses that we've taken in.
That's one of the things I found, go back 3 or 4 or 5 years from right now, when the economy really had taken the downturn. Myself living in Wisconsin, the rescues in that area were full.
Yes.
And a lot of people had hit upon hard times, couldn't feed or keep their horses, and they wanted to give them to rescues. Rescues couldn't take them. The people could not feed them either, so what they wound up doing was just turning them loose.
Yes.
And then law enforcement or humane societies had to round them up, and at least the people knew then they were rounded up and in somebody's care, but that forced an overload at the rescues. Did you experience that here?
Yes, we have quite a few horses that had been turned out, abandoned, tied to trees, left on their own just to seek whatever they could, and the animal shelters were full, we were full, we continue to be full. Susan Pierce gets calls every day asking for her to take in horses for people who can't either afford them or feel that they don't need that horse anymore, and they want to move on and either get another horse or just, you know, can't be horse owners anymore.
Well, and part of that too is, you know, the rescue has some very good missions, but it's not just a place to, quote, trade in your horse.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's not like, okay, I'm tired of this one, I'll give it to a rescue and get another one. That's, you know, it's hard to say, no, that's not our position, but it's not your position.
No.
You know, if that horse is not in need of rescue, you need to have that space for horses that really are in need of rescue.
And Susan always talks about having room for just one more, and it's for that horse that really is in need of rescue, that has been horribly abused, horribly starved, that would have no other place that they could go or be taken care of. And many times those are the ones that we do have that one more spot for.
Well, you know, something else, I was looking through your brochure here, and another thing about this, a lot of your horses going into other life. So do you help in placing these horses into to new owners, to new disciplines? Kind of like taking a retired racehorse and retraining it.
Yeah.
What's your program on getting these horses saved, rehabilitated, and then into the hands of somebody that can give them a career? Horses are like people. They need a job.
Yes.
You know, you take a person that's retired, put them out to pasture on the front porch in a rocking chair, it's not good for them. Horses need something to do positive as well.
And Red Bucket's mission is threefold. The first is to rescue and rehabilitate. And for each horse that can take a different amount of time. For some horses it may only be a couple months to rehabilitate. For others it may take years. We also have to restore their trust in mankind. Many of them have lost trust, they've been mistreated, they've been starved, they've been abused horribly, and so we have to restore their trust before we can start retraining them and preparing them for that forever home they're going to have. And that can take years for some of them. And then our final part of our mission is to find forever homes, place them in adoptive families, and we have one of the highest placement rates as far as we don't get very many.
We are live outside a building, so if a golf cart goes by, just don't worry about it, right?
We do take a lot of time to place our horses. We want to make sure that the match is right for the future adopter as well as the horse, because that is what's going to be the success in placing that horse in a forever home, is making sure that there's a good match there.
Obviously, you probably have a vet clinic or some local veterinarian who is kind of your guideline into what needs to be done, what horses can do what, and where they are in their progression, correct?
Yes, we have a team. We have Susan Pierce, who's a longtime equestrian, and we have a trainer who works with the horses and also assesses what they're capable of doing, what their best next job might be. And then we have a team of veterinarians, chiropractors, farriers who work with us to make sure that the horse is in the best condition that they can be. And if they're not suitable for a riding career, we try to find them companion homes, or we do have some at our ranch who are just permanent residents for multiple reasons. They just are going to be better cared for in our facility for the rest of their life.
Well, you know, and of course the goal is to rehabilitate them and get them another home, because you really don't, and I don't want to say this in a derogatory way, but you don't want them to be permanent residents there, because that means you can't find them a home. And that means you are forced to feed and care for them and use funds on that horse that you should be using on the next horse that is abused in some way.
Well, and that could be true, but the horses that are our permanent residents, they are our family, and so we take care of them as our family.
That's right.
We have adopted them at Red Bucket as our permanent family, and we do take care of them till, you know, their very end. We don't euthanize at our facility unless there's a good reason that it's appropriate for the horse. It's not just because we can't find them a home. You know, we love them as we can, and we want to make sure that every horse will forever be taken care of. We make a promise to every horse and donkey that comes in that we will take care of them for life. Whether, you know, they end up staying with us or coming back to us, or we follow them as they are in their adoptive homes to make sure that it's maintained well. And
you know, you said something interesting, because I've had 3 or 4 horses of my own who have all lived into their 30s, early 30s. The toughest decision is always, when do I euthanize? Because there is a point in time when, you know, if a horse can't get up and down easily, if they're having trouble keeping weight on, if the body is just, as mine is, old and shutting down, okay, there's a time when the best thing for that animal is to say pleasant goodbyes. You gave me a good, you know, turn in your life, but it's time to not let you suffer that's the toughest call in the world.
It is, and we've recently, in the past few months, had some of our senior residents, one of them who was with us almost from the beginning, Jack, who the time came, and it was in his best interest to do that, and we all miss him deeply. He was part of our family. He really symbolized the best of Red Bucket, and we always make decisions in the best interest of the horse.
Okay, it is Red Bucket Equine Rescue, Chino Hills, California. How do people contact you, Ann?
You can contact us through Facebook. We also have a website, redbucketrescue.org. On that website, it has our address, our phone number, and how you can also donate and support Red Bucket.
Well, it's a wonderful rescue here in Southern California. You got a great looking brochure. And we sure appreciate you joining us here on Speaking of Horses. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us.
And one of our missions on Speaking of Horses, whether it's TV or radio, is to assist therapeutic riding centers, rescues, all around the country in getting the word out on what's needed and how much good work they do. So, Anne-Marie, my guest from Red Bucket Equine Rescue, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us here on Speaking of Horses. Right now, let's join Heidi McLaughlin as she discusses the Fearless Rider.
Time, the author of K-I-C-K, Kick, who was a former fearful rider. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Heidi McLaughlin.
Thank you very much. Well, like he said, I am a former fearful rider. I was stuck in fear for 8 years, and I am not a horse trainer. I have learned, I know fear better than I know anything, and I have learned how to overcome it. You have fear, I work with you, and I use the horse as a tool. The reason I'm so good at what I do is because I was you. I work on your level. I was terrified. For 8 years I was stuck in fear. Every day, even if I had a good ride, even if the horse didn't spook, even if everything went well, I would come home and go, instead of going, wow, it was a great day, I came home and said, I hope I don't die tomorrow, just because I dodged a bullet today. So I couldn't even be happy about the day I had, because in my mind I knew, and you all know it too, these are flight animals. Flight animals are designed to be scared, to run back to the herd, to run to safety. So their DNA is not to be brave for you, but that is what we're looking for. I bought and sold 7 horses in 8 years because I always wanted a horse that was going to be less spooky, more brave. I would save up my money for just 30 more days of training. 30 more days of training and would get the spook out of that horse. Ladies and gentlemen, did you ever think that you're the reason your horse spooks? Because we do. Our anxiety, our fear of the what-ifs is the reason our horse spooks. They may not spook all the time, but they're hypersensitive because they feel it from you. They know you don't have their back. They know that if they get in trouble and they're scared and they need to run, they know it's not going to be you that's helping them because you're just as scared. In the very beginning, when I first start working with a fearful rider, one of the first things I do is I go ahead and have you get on without reins. And you're going to go, oh my gosh, I need my reins so I can hold onto their face really tight. And I know, because I was you, I used to think there was a false sense of security that if I held onto the reins really, really, really tight and I squeezed really, really tight with my legs, that I would somehow be safer. Well, I bet you this isn't even going to fit. I just realized this is a big horse. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I know, but I don't have a lead. Well, not as long as I need it, probably. Somebody go buy something. Anybody buy a really long lead today in their bags? See you all running around with lunge whips. Like, what the heck do you need that for? Just teach your horse to lunge. Okay, I think I might have it. All right, no room to spare. Very, very nice horse. I've never worked with a draft, but it doesn't really matter. The horse you have and the discipline you ride doesn't matter to me. Okay, go ahead and mount. Do you need a bit of a hill? Oh, okay. Just realized this is a big horse. Okay, good job for even getting on. Again, I want to remind you not to clap. You're going to want to. I will let you know when it's okay to clap. And that's part of it. Part of it is actually right now, most riders, when I do demos with riders, are really afraid of the audience clapping. But
I forgot I shortened the scarves for my daughter.
okay, we'll take care of that next. While she's doing that, I want to talk a little bit about my philosophy. My philosophy is, everybody, when I ask them, what are you afraid of? Everybody says, falling off. Okay? Falling off leads to getting hurt. Now, if I could teach you today how not to fall off, can you imagine how much further along you would be? And it's only going to take about 10 minutes. I'm going to show you how simple it is. Now, part of it is what we're getting ready to do now is,
That's better.
part of why I take the reins away is not because I'm trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to scare her more. I'm going to teach her posture and balance. If you have good posture and you have good balance and you go with the rhythm of the horse, your chances of falling off have diminished by 90%. Does that sound like a pretty good deal? So watch it. I want you to see something. I don't want you holding on to the horn. If you want to put your hands ahead of you up here, as if you're holding reins, that's fine. But what I'm going to do is I want to just move this horse around. I want her to feel what it feels like to not have the safety of the reins. To feel that feeling of the horse moving and you going with the rhythm of the horse. Now, quickly, let me just show you. Going with the rhythm of the horse is you are now moving with the rhythm of the horse. Horse spooks, you're going to move with them and jump that direction. I'll be in charge of him for now. I'll let you know when I... Seriously? Yeah, I know. But it's okay. I just want him to be in connection with me right now. So, but I'm going to let you take over. Don't worry. Okay. If we get in trouble as fearful riders, what do? Horse spooks. We go tense up. We actually lean over. We look down. We go into the fetal position. We grab the horn. Now, our body's forward. What does that tell the horse? Go forward. We've told the horse now to go forward. Now, we've lost our balance and our posture's incorrect, and he feels it. We are now, since we're holding onto the horn, going against the rhythm of the horse.
Speaking of horses, Wayne Williams here, and we are in Pomona, California. We are at Horse Expo Pomona, the 2016 version. My guest is Teresa Spencer. Now, Teresa is one of the sponsors with Speaking of Horses TV and radio, and Equestra Safe. So first of all, welcome this fine morning.
Thank
It's
you.
February in Southern California, and we're not in the snow. We're not in the...
Nope.
They think it's chilly because it's below 60, but trust me, in other parts of the world, this is nothing.
Oh,
okay?
this is summer.
So Equestra Safe seems to be on a really growing mode. It's a wonderful product line we've got. So tell us about your product line and tell us a little about what got you started in doing this.
Well, fabulous. Thanks, Wayne. And I appreciate you having me on this morning. We started this company. It was a girlfriend and I that came together through horses and a friendship of horses. And we were evacuated 5 times in 4 years. And what happened with that is when we got to the evacuation centers, we found out that none of the horses at those evacuation centers had any form of owner identification on them. Now the county, the sheriff's department, animal control had their own forms of identification, but nothing from the owners. And when you go into an evacuation situation, you're running in, grabbing horses maybe from homes that people do not, you know, are at work maybe, or they've gone on vacation. So the owner may not even be aware that their animals were evacuated. What we found is between that and trail riders having what we like to classify as unscheduled dismounts.
Good way to put that. I like that. I like that. I've had a few of those myself.
That's right. We don't call them buck-offs, you know, and the horse takes off and runs away. How do you get your horse back? If somebody finds your horse, locates your horse, and you don't have any form of identification on that horse, how do you get your horse back? So we came up with the idea of a permanent embroidered band that could be very easily attached to your horse through Velcro with your phone number on it. And that way, if the horse is lost, is removed from your property for any reason during an evacuation, or, you know, we all have those Houdini horses that love to get out of a stall, they love to take down a fence, or decide that they want to become a show jumper that day, and run down the street, then your neighbors can also give you a call and say that you have, you know, that they have found your horse in their front yard. And that actually happened to me one day. All three of mine got out. A neighbor didn't even know that I had horses, and he called me because of the number on the fetlock band and said, by the way, do you have 3 horses these colors? And I said, yes. So I had to go down there, round them up, bring them back, and, you know.
The first thing you have to do is admit they got away from you.
Exactly.
That's the first thing.
I had a Houdini, and he opened up the gate in the middle of the night.
You know, I got to tell you a funny story. We were trail riding years ago in west central Wisconsin, out kind of close to the Mississippi River, but there's a area out there which is government land. There are no really marked trails, but it's wide open. It's like a national park. You just pull in. There's one big field where you can camp. There's no facilities.
Nice.
The people camp, and you just take off riding. And you're basically just on your own. Well, a gentleman that we know was selling a horse to another guy, and he agreed, okay, let's go over there and we'll trail ride. You can ride the horse. If you like the horse, then you pay me. If you don't like the horse, you don't pay me for the horse, and I take it home. Well, obviously, that is the horse that the guy who was not a very good rider was on, but wanted to buy. Came down to a creek, and every time the horse would jump the creek, the gentleman would fall off.
Oh, boy.
Finally, they said, look, just get off, lead the horse. You jump across the creek, then let the horse jump across the creek, get back on, because otherwise we're not going to get you across. So he got off, the horse jumped the creek, pulled the reins out of his hand, and the horse took off.
Oh, boy.
Now the horse is tearing around there, saddle, bridle, reins hanging, tearing through the woods, thickets, and everybody else on horseback looking for the horse can't find the horse. So we go back to the camp area, and the gentleman who owned the horse was now really heartbroken because he didn't have a sale. And his horse was gone, and the guy that was going to buy it isn't going to buy a horse they can't find. It was a real, you know, kind of a mess. And all of a sudden that night, after exhausted searching, just figuring, well, what probably would happen, unfortunately, was the horse could have gotten into the thickets, got brush run up, branches run up into the stirrups or whatever, and been trapped. Well, somebody drove into our little camping area and said, they might lose a horse here. Yeah, it's just, well, I said it's about 6 miles down this gravel road, and it's just tied to an old tire laying by the road because it's exhausted. Just go get it.
Oh my God!
So these two guys jumped in the truck and trailer, went down the road. Sure enough, there was the horse. Did not even break the reins.
Wow!
The horse was sweaty and all that and exhausted, but he was so exhausted that they just tied him to a tire and he wasn't going anywhere. Okay. And they loaded him up, brought him back, and everything was cool. But it was so, you know, it's another reason why it would have been so nice. The first person that saw that horse could have easily made a phone call. And in this day and age, this was when this has been a few years ago. Cell phones weren't as big as they are now, but now it would have been very simple to just call a person. They would have been in camp with their cell phone probably and known immediately.
Right.
If that data was in fact on that horse.
Right. You know, last night I opened up my email and I had a testimonial from somebody, who said, I've decided to buy your fetlock bands after being introduced to them from a friend of mine. And it just so happens we were out camping and a very nice, sweet mule rolled into our camp, fully tacked up. We didn't know where it came from. And she said, because of that, we were able to find the owners, but it took us 3 days.
Yeah.
And she said, and because of that, I am now going to purchase your fetlock ID bands.
Well, tell us a little bit about the varying products that you do have.
Well, for us, you know, our motto is before emergencies happen, not after.
Right.
So we want you as a rider and a horse owner to be very safe on the trail with not only identification for you and your horse, but also possibly medical information and other things. We have several products in our line that are reflective for people who love to night ride. Several different products, from halters to collars to leg bands, all designed to help you be visible at night. And we use 3M products. So they're very high quality reflectability. Some of these products can be seen from a quarter to a half a mile away. We also have some helmet tags, we call them rescue facts, that we can use for your horse with identification, medical information for your horse, you as owner information, veterinary information, and most importantly, a consent to treat. Then we also have them for us humans for your helmet that does all the same thing. It has all of your information. We also have rattlesnake kits, airway kits we call them, for if your horse gets bit by a rattlesnake. We also have several different styles of first aid kits that you can carry with you, have in your saddlebag, have in your truck, in your trailer, and your barn. We're just numerous products that we do, but it's all geared around safety and being safe before an emergency happens.
Well, and you've got a really good product line here. I love the emergency kits, the first aid kits you have. It's very well thought out, and I know you have been at different horse expos speaking to people on this very thing. So it's very, very well thought out, very, very well done, and we just love being involved with it.
Well, thank you. And I love to. I'll plug this. I love to promote small businesses. So all of the products that I get are from other small business owners.
Right.
That's what I like to do. So
well, we just passed along a wound care thing to you.
Yes.
From a small business starting up in Missouri, and it's called Nixall. Nixall. I'll get a plug in for Nixall.
There you go.
But it's something that I had given Teresa that could be something that would be made available in that first aid kit.
Absolutely.
We'll see. We'll just see.
Absolutely.
Well, Teresa, thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you for having me on.
And we thank all of you for listening and watching. It's Speaking of Horses, and we enjoy doing these things. We're in Pomona, California. We're talking EquestriSafe. Be sure to look it up. It's EquestriSafe. EquestriSafe.com.
That's it.
Teresa, thank you.
Thanks so much.
And thanks. Stay with us here on Speaking of Horses.